Good evening. It is 7:07, April 12th, and this is the April meeting of the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission. I would ask that our members introduce themselves, starting with Tara.
Tara Wolf.
Kathy Chappell, Secretary.
Ron Moat, Vice President.
Mark Ram.
First order of business is the reading and approving of the minutes from last month's meeting. Do we have any questions or corrections at the present time?
I know.
Okay. If not, then I would ask for a motion to approve said minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. March minutes are approved. Next order of business is the payment of our bills for the month of April. I have in front of me a bill for $1,975 to Borgman Enterprises, a $225 invoice from Tim Showalter, an invoice for $18.75 from the Beech Grove Sewage Works, an invoice for $1,588.04 from Peters Municipal Consultants, a bill for $624 from Lewis and Kappas, and finally, a bill for $17,040 from Crossroads Engineers. Do we have any questions or comments on the bills?
Nope.
Okay, then I would ask for a motion to approve said bills.
I make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I abstain from voting for
I'll
conflict of interest.
I'll second.
Understood. Mark seconds. The bills are approved. Please sign the respective sheet for the approval of the bills.
Okay.
And I won't sign that either, correct?
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, would you like to give your report?
Sure.
Good evening. Several things going on. Paving began today on Adelaide, which is out by the high school. It's a dead-end road. It serves about 8 houses. We did a new treatment process on it. They call it FDR, and it's full depth reclamation. They take the existing road and grind it up, and then they put it back with a cement slurry, and it establishes about a foot base of the road, and then you pave on top of it. So we're trying that. They paved it today. It's beautiful. And the final pavement will be next week. But all of the materials are recycled, reused. Nothing goes to the landfill. No dust. And potholes form at the bottom of the base and come up. And this type of treatment will slow down the process for potholes. So that road could go years without any noticeable potholes. They'll be cracking, but that's a plus. 21st Street is being redone. They had the first coat of paving on it today. New sidewalks were added on South 6th. And then we're doing some work down on Grovewood. For the board's information, on May the 1st at 7 p.m. here in this chambers, we're going to have a meeting with the people who live on Charnwood Parkway concerning the Greenway. So you're invited to attend that. But we're going to meet in these chambers. They had some issues and concerns about it. So we're going to sit down and talk to them about it. We're getting ready to start a major sewer project in Park Grove. We're going to do cured in place piping to about 2,000 feet of sewer pipe, which is an extensive repair. That starts pretty soon. On Monday night, this coming Monday, the board will approve a notice to proceed for a stormwater project out at the intersection of Churchman and Churchman Bypass. We're going to correct a drainage problem there that's been there forever. So we got a good bid and a good quote, and that's coming in. Plus, we're getting ready to, it's in the engineering stage, but pretty soon we're going to be doing the same thing down on the end of Killian Drive to start correcting problems down there, drainage problems that have been there for over 50 years. We should be hearing in May about if we receive federal funding for Thompson Road sidewalk. I think we will. And that project is about an $850,000 project. Then that will put sidewalks on the north side of Thompson from Emerson to 9th Avenue. I want the board to know that, the commission to know that the city's hired someone, a company, to maintain the interstate exchange. So we're going to be cutting the grass and picking up trash. I think there was some discussion about that at a previous meeting, and we're going to take care of that. So that's already started, as a matter of fact. Also this year, and you've already paid a claim for Borgman, it's our intent to do the same thing that we did last year with you folks concerning the roundabout, Main Street, Emerson, and the Pocket Park. Ron, did I leave anything out? We split the bill. And if you drive through there, it's really pretty. They've done a nice job on it already this spring. So that's going on.
Are we talking Borgman?
We're getting ready to do another asset management road inventory where we go out and we inventory every road that we have, and we score it on the type of shape it's in, whether it's poor, fair, or good. So that's getting ready to start sometime within the next month. Adelaide was the last road in the city of Beech Grove that had a 1 rating, which is the worst rating possible. So we no longer have any roads that have the poorest rating. So we're doing better. We got a ways to go, but we're doing much better than we have in the past. The council froze the stormwater rates at $3.75, so those won't change. And St. Francis is reporting that at the end of June, they'll be done with the demolition process and cleanup. End of June, so that's basically it. Any questions?
I was curious as to where we stand with regard to the potholes on Beech Grove streets. The city of Indianapolis has been getting a lot of negative publicity and been trying to catch up with weather conditions to repair theirs. I know Don addressed these, I believe, on Thompson, which is probably not Beech Grove, but with the improvement in the weather, how would you assess the potholes in Beech Grove at the present time, Mr. Mayor?
They've been good. We've done really well with it. There are some roads that, any road that starts in Indianapolis, comes through Beech Grove and picks back up on the other side of Beech Grove is considered a thoroughfare, and that's under the control of the city of Indianapolis. So Churchman Avenue, Albany, Southern, Bethel, Emerson, roads such as that, those are the responsibility of the city of Indianapolis. We will do potholes repair, but those are the city of Indianapolis. It's not really fair to compare us to the city of Indianapolis because they have 430 square miles of roads and we have 4 square miles of roads. But I got to tell you, our guys have done really good with it. They're out daily looking for potholes. And with the mayor's call center, we've had less than 36 pothole complaints the entire season.
Oh, wow,
So,
negligible.
yes, yes.
And the one that popped up on our road was fixed in, I would say, hours.
I think they've all been pretty good around here.
So I'm happy with it, but the more roads that we fix and fix right, the less potholes that we're gonna have. So I'm pretty happy about that.
I just have a question. I know we've already voted to pay these payments, but on Borgman, at one of our meetings, we did split the cost with it. Okay. Don just emailed me when he saw the docket. He didn't remember us doing that. So he said to make a comment about it, but
As far as,
I didn't split any cost.
yeah, you may wanna vote on it again. But,
No.
yeah,
I meant to go back and look at my minutes.
Yeah, I
and-
don't think they voted on the Borgman contract, if I recall correctly.
I gave it to the commission because the Board of Works approved these. We had to get quotes for these projects because they exceeded $10,000. So we did, the board approved it, and then I think I delivered it to the commission so they can look at it and vote on it as well.
Okay.
Maybe you didn't. If not, I can get it to you. It's no big deal.
Yeah,
I
it
am-
was given to the commission, but there was not a vote that night.
Yeah. This, from the February meeting, it said they wanted a decision in March, and I don't think we discussed it.
Okay.
Well, how about if we take it up tonight?
Well, I mean, we just voted to accept it, the $1,100 in here. Well, let's just let that go, and then any further, maybe we should have discussion about it next month. Robert?
Well, if you approve the claim, is that the entire RDC amount, Mayor?
No, that's for, he's done some work. He'll be doing work throughout the entire year.
Well, I would suggest that the commission wants to approve the payment of half, that they should take a vote tonight to do something.
And what's the total going to be? I mean, obviously, this is spring.
I'm not sure what the total is. I'm not
Is
sure.
this something we could table until the
Yeah.
next meeting when Don is here?
Yeah,
So do we have to amend the vote we just took? Because when I made a motion to accept, I forgot that this was in this docket.
As part of the claim, you could make a motion to
I-
amend to only approve the claims other than the Borgman claim, if you want to
Okay.
do that.
I would ask that you pay him because he's waiting for it probably.
Well, then can we move to pay half, or?
Well, this is
Well-
only
Oh, that is
$1,100. This isn't a huge amount
That
of
is
money.
Yeah,
the half?
that's,
Okay.
that, you're gonna be seeing bills from Borgman throughout the summer.
That's what I thought.
I think you could go ahead and just, well, you have approved it, so.
Yeah.
We have approved it, so
That
we've
works.
approved, okay. All right, Don, he's on vacation, but he sent me a message and said, I'm looking at the docket, I don't remember that we actually got to that. I thought we had, but from her notes, we hadn't, and I don't have my previous minutes with me.
No, there was not a vote that night. Mayor presented.
So do we need to vote on it again, or have we, this takes care of it?
I think you need to vote on it.
Further?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that next meeting then, Dennis. That's fine with me. But let's go ahead and take care of what this person's waiting on.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
mean
no.
to grab that from
No,
you.
no,
That's all I got. Any questions?
What about, I didn't hear you say anything about Elm Street. Aren't you gonna,
Didn't, they're not recommending funding for that. So
Oh,
it is what it is. I mean, you either get funding or you don't.
right.
You don't cry. I mean, you just, thanks for the opportunity, move on down the road.
Any word from the grant money, Next Stop Beech Grove? Anything to report on Next Stop Beech Grove that you're aware of?
Yeah, we met with the Okra people and the people doing the planning. They're going to do a presentation at the council meeting on May 7th.
Oh, okay.
They are pretty close to being able to submit their plan to Okra for approval. And once they do that, and Okra approves it, then they become eligible for federal funding. And then we'll apply this fall for the construction money.
Good.
The response has been really good. Now, we started out with 12, and now we're up over 20 business owners or
Oh,
building
they've
owners.
added more.
Yes, wants to participate. So it could be a really good thing for the city.
It's encouraging.
Can you talk a little bit about, I've been reading on Facebook, I know that some businesses or residents were declared public nuisance.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody else reads that on Facebook or not. Can you elaborate on that? You did for me on Facebook, but
About 3 years ago, we formed a compliance division. And the purpose of it was to go out and clean up the city. Homes, outside of homes, cars, and stuff like that. And one of the first things that was done was the council approved an ordinance for nuisance. And there's two types of nuisances, a public nuisance and an environmental nuisance. And the environmental nuisance would be like trash, junk vehicles, tall weeds, grass, windows broken, whatever, all those types of things. So the compliance division goes out and they do the inspections, and then we don't do inspection. We don't go onto people's personal property to do inspections. We do what they call Plainview Inspections from the street. Whatever we can see from the street is what we do. So Mark is one of the compliance people. So they go out and do that, and if they go through a process of notifying the property owner, and then if it's bad enough and they don't get any response from the property owner, then the city can declare that property a nuisance. And then what happens is they're given orders to repair or to mitigate their problems, and after so many days, if that doesn't work, or if they don't do anything, then the city can write the property owner a ticket. The first ticket is $100 and court costs if the court finds them guilty. Then the compliance could go back in a reasonable time and do another inspection, and if there's nothing been done, they can write them another ticket. And then that ticket is $250 plus court costs if they're found guilty. And then there's another process, and they go back, and if they've done nothing, after a set amount of time, then they can issue them a third ticket, and the third ticket is $2,500 plus court costs if the court finds them guilty. That's the property owner. And then every ticket after that for a period of a year, if I'm not mistaken, is $25. They can go back every single day and write them another ticket. And it's not the person living in the house that we're focusing on. It's whoever owns the property. So that is environmental nuisance. And Mark can go into detail a little bit more about it. The other nuisance is public nuisance, and that is more police-related, excessive police runs, and things such as that, fights, whatever. And we also do it if our fire department responds to your house due to the delivery of Narcan or naloxone, and then we go back again and do it again, that becomes a public nuisance. And we issued 5 public nuisances the first of this week. And our target is to clean up the city.
Is the fee structure approximately the same for?
Same
public
thing.
and Private?
Same thing.
Okay.
And we've had, Mark, we've had $2,500 tickets issued 7-8 days in a row.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
What, yeah, so the people say, I don't have any money. Do what you want, but I don't have $2,500. Is it a lien on the property or?
One thing that happens is the judge suspends their driver's privileges. But a lot of times they get worked out. The key is, the key is not, it's not for us to raise funds.
Right,
It's not that, it's to change the behavior.
right, right.
And it's worked. It's a great ordinance. The council got it right when they did it and when they passed it. These guys enforce it along with the police chief, city attorney. We also do it for businesses. Motel 6 was the reason that ordinance was written.
Well, I knew you had problems there.
But we do it for, I don't know how many public nuisances we've issued. It's been several. And they've responded just like we thought they would. The problem stopped.
I have a are most of the environmental issues renters or the actual property owner living in the property?
That's a great question. Over 90% of the environmental nuisances that we issue tickets for are rental property.
Yep, I can believe that.
So now we're going to rewrite the rental code, and that will be introduced in June, at the June meeting.
Can you give us any insight as to what changes may be coming?
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm a landlord.
We both have similar problems in that respect.
Ron let me use the noise as an example. Ron had a problem in his neighborhood with noise for a long time. I don't know if it's still going on or not,
Intermittently.
but it got to the point where those addresses where they were, not just Ron, neighborhood,
Right.
where they have, with these addresses were declared nuisances and issued tickets. And that's how, it's not the money. It's stop the behavior. This is a neighborhood, this is a quiet neighborhood. It's not a loud party, music. So that was Ron's issue, but there's other issues as well. So the rental code ordinance we have one on the books, but I won't enforce it as mayor because it's too intrusive.
Just as an antidote to that, Dennis, I talked to one of the families, and I think what really got their attention was a letter was written, perhaps by Bob and Craig, to the property owner, indicating that the renters were creating problems in the neighborhood. And with that, the property owner got in touch with the renters and basically said, if you want to continue to live here, you will blend into the neighborhood and quit becoming such a nuisance to the other people that have lived here a long time. And that got their attention, and with that, I think the problem mitigated considerably.
So the rental code ordinance that we have now, I won't enforce it because there's too much government intrusion. It calls for us to go into your home to do inspections. I think that's stretching it. I think what we do now is fine. That's far enough. As far as looking at it from the street, sidewalk, or alley, that's close enough for us. And I've instructed these compliance guys to not go on private property. We don't do that.
Is there anything that we can do legally to encourage more homeowners to occupy their properties rather than flipping them and using them as rental properties?
No. I don't know of anything. Our property values are up 10.5% from this time last year. We're going in the right direction. We just can't, I don't know how to stop. Everybody has a fundamental right to buy a piece of property. I don't know how to stop that. But what we can do is make some rules up to where they at least maintain their property. And this rental code ordinance will require, right off the bat, it will require a rental property to be registered. You got to register your rental property. Okay. Then you'll be given a checklist. And we'll tell you, this is what we're looking at when we come to your property. If you have these conditions present, you'll be issued a letter, and then if there's no corrective action taken, we're going to declare you a nuisance. Then, once they only have to register the property one time unless it changes hands, the ownership. And then, there's no fee for that. We compare it to sewage works records to make sure the owner's correct. And then there'll be a process to where we're going to make sure that that rental property, whoever owns that rental property, is paying their appropriate share of property taxes. Instead of, they should not be getting a homestead credit on a property that they
Right.
use for profit. So we're going to compare that, and then we're going to require you to license your rental unit. And that will cost you $150 every 2 years. The fee is waived if you can show proof that you have attended the Marion County Prosecutor's Office rental property program that they offer.
I never knew there was one.
Yes?
We had a similar problem in California. I was on a homeowners association board, and we had a lot of absentee owners that were in the Philippines and China and whatnot. And the situation probably doesn't lend itself as readily as the one we're discussing here, but we had homeowners association dues. And what we were able to do with our codes, covenants, and restrictions was say, you know, if you are occupying the property here in Westgate Park, your homeowners association dues are thus and so. If you're an absentee landlord, there was like a 15% surcharge or something like that to cover the additional expenses of policing a rental property and having to send correspondence to China or the Philippines or someplace like that. That helped create a community where the people that were occupying the homes actually owned them, as opposed to were using them as just rental properties. I don't know if anything comparable to that could be, you know, an option to us down the road. I mean, it sounds like you've got the pieces in place, Mr. Mayor, to,
Well, we have slumlords. We have there's absentee landlords and slumlords and out-of-state owners of property in Beech Grove who care less about the city of Beech Grove. So we're targeting those groups of people.
good.
And another thing is, we're also going, if you own a home in Beech Grove and you sell it, or you sell it to somebody, they can rent that home out because you're not changing the intent of the home. What they can't do is they can't turn that home into a double, or they can't turn that home into multiple apartments in the same house, or they can't change the intent of the house by turning it into sleeping rooms. Anytime in 1969, when Unigov was formed, anybody who did that was grandfathered. But any time after 1969, any date after 1969, you cannot change the intent of a residential property unless you get a variance from the BZA. So what we're going to do is we're going to make these people prove that this was done before 69. If not, then we're gonna make them get a variance. Because we can't let people go buy a property and chop it up into 5 apartments. That's not the intent of that house.
Right.
So there's something that the city needs to get a grip on and needs to enforce the rules, and that's what we're gonna do.
Good.
And I gotta tell you, I don't apologize for it. I'm going after them.
Do you know how many residents in Beech Grove are under Section 8? Do you know how many there are?
I do not know.
I know of one, but
I don't know.
HUD might have that information.
I was just curious.
I don't know. So it's coming. We're doing a workshop next Monday night, and the council's doing a workshop. The public's invited to attend. We won't be taking any comment from the council. We won't be doing any voting on anything. We're just gonna go through a series of ordinances that are gonna be introduced during the summer that that the council's going to take up under agenda items. And some of them are pretty powerful ordinances,
The
including the
public's
rental
invited?
code.
On the 6th, public's invited?
Oh, yeah,
And what time?
7 o'clock,
And it's here?
right here.
Okay,
Now, there'll be no public comment.
okay.
We're just gonna go through these ordinances and we're gonna talk about them. So, good stuff.
Good time to do it.
Yes.
Well, and then I'll go sit down. Just think about this. If you live in your house and you maintain your property and your property is presentable and you're minding your own business, you shouldn't have to live next door to a slob.
No.
Or you should not look out your window and say, oh, the police are over there again. What's going on over there? There has to be some medium to where you enforce some type of rule to stop it. So that's where we're going with all this.
Step in the right direction, absolutely.
So, Mark, you can comment on it. Mark lives it every day when he comes in here.
You've pretty well covered everything on it. I do know that one of the locations was a business that got hit hard with the tickets. This was back when Derek was still here. We'd go in and the manager would just blow us off. We did our normal process of giving them their amount of days to correct it, and she just blew us off. So every day we went in, here's your ticket, and it was to the point where she had her assistant manager meet us because she didn't want to talk to us. The company got a hold of the city attorney. We worked with them on that. That company now has a new manager at that location. They have a new district manager because they felt like that was where the problem was. And we haven't had a problem with them since.
Was she the business owner and the building owner both?
No,
She
no,
was
she's
just
just
the
a business owner. Right. And Derek and I had the option of doing the business and the building owner, but the building owner was working with us. He was trying to do what needed to be done. So we didn't feel like he needed to be punished. He was working with us. He was working on his side to get him to straighten it out. But once the tickets started getting into, and I don't think the manager was passing them up. She was keeping them here on site. But when we write a ticket, you get a copy of it, and the courts gets a copy of it, and the court sends a letter about an administrative hearing, and that's how corporate was finding out about it. That's how they took care of it.
This is my 3rd summer of having to deal with that.
Yeah.
Not business residents.
Speaking of business, Dennis, any progress with our friends with the car lot there on Main and Emerson? Both of them?
I met with them the other day. They have too big of an operation for where they're at. And they weren't happy with me because we do that 2-hour enforcement now.
Mm-hmm.
And their employees don't have anywhere to park. And I said, well, where do your customers park? He said, well, we don't have any room for customers because our employees park on Main Street. I said, that doesn't make any sense to me. I said, how long are your customers generally on your lot? Are they there for more than 2 hours? He said, no. I said, then why wouldn't you want your parking Street so your customers can pull there.
Mhm.
Tell your customers, or tell your employees to park somewhere else. It doesn't make any sense. And I said, we can go back to the way it used to be, hour and a half enforcement if you want me to. I said, you can tell me, I'll do it. I said, the reason for the enforcement of parking was because business owners were complaining about they didn't have any place to park in the front for their customers. Because people would carpool and they park on Main Street all day.
Free parking.
Mhm. Well, they were blocking alleys and moving
yeah.
vehicles across Main Street and
They get tickets for that.
jaywalking against the light, and people are making left turns off of Emerson and having to stop abruptly because Main Street is blocked with pedestrian traffic and vehicles being moved from one lot to the other.
I suspect one day they'll relocate because their business is just, they sold 444 cars there last month.
It's unbelievable.
Most of their business is internet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he told me a few months ago that he had not sold a car to a walk-up person who just, like you or me, just walking up and looking at the lot. It was all driven by internet.
What about the other lot on Emerson, Dennis? There was another car lot on Emerson we've discussed before that I know you opposed.
Yeah, that's an ongoing problem every day. Now we're dealing with them over stormwater. I made it very clear from the very beginning with those people that I opposed them being here. And I would do whatever I could to stop it, where I lost.
Understand?
I still feel that we don't need that car lot here. But anyway, they go through hurdles and it's cost them a lot of money to run their business. And I don't know, I just think one day they will all be gone.
Hey, they can be like the people I live with, they park on the sidewalk and the street
Well,
and
look-
their yard.
It looks like a duck.
Completely blocking the sidewalk. Everybody walking their dog
I had
walks
to walk
around
on the
them.
street when I walked my dog down there.
You would think that people would have more common courtesy.
Oh,
It's just like,
Mark knows who I'm talking
Yeah.
about. He did, courtesy isn't in their vocabulary.
Yeah, I've seen it myself.
anyway, that's where we're going with some of these ordinances. You know, we have really, really good, it's a model ordinance for hotel licensing. We never used to license hotels, now we do. We've got really strong ordinances on therapeutic massage. And then we have the strongest pawn shop ordinance around. I would be stunned if a pawn shop tried to open in Beech Grove. Because they almost go under the control of the police chief. So it's just those types of behaviors, we don't need those here.
Right.
We are trying hardest to keep them out.
May I ask Mark a question?
Sure.
How does compliance, does it do anything if there's a business being operated out of a residential house?
We'll get involved with and call zoning and work with zoning on it because we can't actually go in and say, yeah, they're doing a business.
Well, this is in Plainview.
Mhm.
It's essentially, it's a automobile repair.
Oh, I know exactly where you're
off of
talking about.
Detroit Street, near the girls softball diamonds, right across the street from the girls softball
Okay.
diamond. And, it usually starts around 4:30 on into the night.
Okay.
I think the guy probably has a day job as well. But he may have 4 or 5 cars out there, some of them have been smashed in, others just need, engine stuff.
Yeah, we work real close, trying anyway with zoning. If we can see that they're doing it, we send them a letter and tell them, they can't do it, that you can't run a business out of your home. But a lot of that comes under zoning. We really don't have that ordinance ourselves. But we use other ordinances to get to them, parking a automobile on the street that doesn't operate. We tag those and,
This always occurs probably right after the city workers' day ends. I mean, it's kind of,
well,
I thought you could have a business in your residence as long as it was your primary residence, not a rental.
This is a
Well-
primary residence.
I thought you were
It-
talking about 8th and Churchman. Gotta be a body shop.
This is,
Corner house. I think it's 8th.
This is right across from Mary Stewart.
Yes,
yeah,
those, anybody who has
we've been
questions
working on that one.
on running businesses out of home, we generally defer them to zoning, and zoning comes out and does an inspection.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think city's on the right track. I mean, all you can do is try.
Sounds like it.
We're working on getting relationships with the different agencies. It's, like I said, it's a new division for the city, and we're working a lot, I think, closer with the state fire marshal's office on certain things, zoning, health department. It's almost a daily contact now with everybody, what's going on. Well, matter of fact, I've got the state fire marshal's office calling, checking on a couple of businesses. Because they started something, they stopped, and they want to know, what the process is, how far they've gotten, and
Bob, did you want to address the commission? Bennett?
Yes, Tara's, has filled out a uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement relating to Crossroads Engineering, where her husband's employed. The city has special projects with Crossroads from time to time. Currently, there's the Greenway project. And she needs to have this on file, and it should be accepted by the RDC and then subsequently by the Common Council. And if we could just have a vote to accept it.
Okay.
What does accepting it mean?
Approving
That
it,
you approve
recognizing
that
it.
she can remain on the commission with that conflict. And of course, there'll be an understanding that she'll recuse herself from any votes that relate to
Crossroads.
Crossroads Engineering. And when we do claims in the future, if we could separate Crossroads out from the others so that Tara could vote for the other,
Payment of bills.
yeah.
Okay.
And just
All right.
treat that
All
one
right.
separately.
We'll do that. So can I ask for a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to.
Do we have a
accept.
second, Kathy?
I make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Do we need to sign this? Is this?
No, we'll sign
The
it.
city will be deciding.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Matter of fact, let me have that, and I'll put it on the agenda for the May 7th meeting. No big deal.
Thank you.
don't
Does
wanna lose you.
anyone else have any additional comments or concerns they'd like to express this evening? Commissioners?
No, not me.
Bob?
Nope. Good meeting, informative.
Then I
Thanks,
would
guys.
ask for a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay. That concludes this evening's business, and we will see you, what'd you say, Dennis, May 7th?
The council meets May 7th.
Ah, okay.
Looks like it's 7:50. I need to
I don't
have
know when you folks